Good day, everybody. Rob Mazak here. Some of you guys are aware of who I am and what I do, but for those that don't, I am a psychic medium that has a variety of services which are really quite vast and interesting, and it really brings me joy to help people with connecting and getting answers and helping them move forward in their life and figure out how to heal themselves. My job is not to keep people on the hook. My job is to help them figure out how to help themselves. Anyway, so I have done a lot of different podcasts, and for the most part, I don't script anything. I just get some thoughts together and just have a conversation with you guys, and so that's what I'm about today. But one of the things I think I wanted to start with first was that, I'll just say the statement straight up to begin with, is that we really don't know anything. And I say that because I'm not discounting knowledge and education and information that we get through intuition and on. But I say that because our belief system really kind of drives how we think, how we perceive the world, and it affects how we move forward in this life. And so it is difficult at best for anybody to prove anything they believe in. Now, if I believe in God, I'm not saying I don't, I'm just saying if I believe in God, how can I ever truly prove to anybody that there's a God? We can't see God. We can't hear God. We can't feel God. We can't experience God. Now, some of us feel like we experience God, and we do talk to God, and we see God. However, does that mean that we can prove that God is real? Or is that simply our own belief system that is driving that interpretation? Right? There's been a lot of different religious writings throughout the years. If you look at Christianity and really dig down into it, there's a lot of evidence that it's simply a story, and other people have evidence that it existed and everybody in it was really a player. And you have people that say it's an exact copy of every major religion in our known history. So if everybody has a truth, everybody has their own evidence, where then is the truth? I think therein lies the problem, because I have so many people send me clips and information and articles, and I'm not sure if it's to validate their belief system or to try to convert me, because I don't realize these things or whatever. But what I'm finding really is that I think our experiences, I'm pretty sure, in my experience, I know I said it, we don't know anything, right? But in my knowing, I've discovered that my perception, my beliefs will create the things in my life that I will experience. And I've probably mentioned this before in other talks, but if I all of a sudden become very interested in red Corvettes and I'm researching them, I'm looking, on websites, see how much they cost, see if I can afford them. Guess what? I will begin to see every red Corvette in the city, everywhere I go. Does that mean that there were no red Corvettes there? Or did I simply change my perception, and now I can notice the things that are already there? And this is also very true in science. And if you look at, if you go and research the double slit experiment, from quantum physics, quantum theory, quantum mechanics, anyway, in that line of science, you will find that the experience or the outcome of any experiment that they did with that particular model, it changed when there was an observer or something that was observing it. And so, even science is beginning to believe that our perception and our simply paying attention to it, our perception actually drives outcomes. And so I think in that light, we really have to be careful what we think we believe, what we think is real, what we think is the truth, because it's probably very colored, if you will, by what our mind believes, what's instilled within us to believe is the truth. Because, like I said, even in science, they do studies to ensure that the actual scientist or the researcher that's proposing some type of outcome or an experiment has to pull themselves away, because what they've found is that their ideas of the outcome will very heavily weigh on the actual outcome. So they have to pull in, non-biased people, and make sure that there is a proper research, that there is proper research done, and without any intent for the end goal. And so if science is telling us that, we can probably bring that over and equate that into the psychological part of us, because like I said, it's one of the things that I learned when I was going through my own self-healing journey, is that much of our perceptions, much of our beliefs are simply things that are run on automatic pilot. I say that because our subconscious is what really runs our life, because it's programmed, to do many things, that we don't have to think about consciously every day, every minute. Because if we had to do that, boy, we wouldn't make it 10 minutes every day. We learned to walk, we learned to drive, we learned to talk, we had lots of experiences, good and bad, that all get wound up into our subconscious, right? And so, which is good and bad, but the problem is that if you don't take charge of that and create your own perceptions, they will automatically begin to happen for you without you even thinking about it. And so, I guess there's nothing wrong with that in a lot of ways, but if you want change in your life and you want to do something different, you have to you have to change the programming. And there's a variety of ways to do that. But the point being is that, sometimes when we're, say, for example, in a relationship for a long time, and we just let our perceptions or how we feel about our partner eventually become thoughts that just run in our mind, they will eventually become part of that permanent recording. And then it will become a belief, and then a personality, and then next thing you know, that relationship is likely to be very damaged. Not because there's necessarily a problem, but because we perceived things as a problem, and we allow those perceptions to run amok and to continue to circulate, and eventually your subconscious mind accepts it, programs it, and runs with it, and next thing you know, there you go. You have a new belief. And so in light of that, we have to be careful about what we expose ourselves to as well, right? Because one of the other science facts is that we get bombarded by about 11 million bits of information per second, our mind does. And our conscious mind can only handle about 40. And that seems really lopsided, right? But the thing that's really interesting is that our subconscious gets everything energetically that surrounds us, people, pictures, music, food, everything goes directly into our subconscious without filtering. So we really do become like the people that we're surrounded by, the music we listen to, the pictures we have on our wall, the things we watch on TV. Everything is programming us. And that's kind of why I wanted to start this particular talk, is because as I'm looking through TikTok and internet and various alternative news sites and things like that, what I've noticed is that there is a very large amount of very, I don't know how you say that, very odd things that are happening and being broadcast, and whether they're true or not, I find people really grab onto these things and just run with it. And the more you watch these things and go down the rabbit hole of a certain subject or an idea, the more you end up programming yourself into a solid belief system. If you listen to somebody that claims they channel somebody or an entity, certain alien species or a spirit guide or ascended master, whatever, and I'm not saying that's not untrue, but is it true for you? Maybe they are channeling those things more for the good of themselves, not necessarily the good of the population. And so, once again, I channel, and I get things, and I'm very well aware that they're very important for me and prevalent in my life, right? And if I share them with people, I'm very careful. I didn't used to be that way, but I've learned the hard way. But that, I can only share things with people with a disclaimer. It's like, I can't prove anything I'm about to say. I really know nothing. All I can tell you is what I'm hearing, what I'm getting, what I'm feeling, what I'm intuitively processing, whatever. And, I don't know if everybody does that. I watch a lot of these people claim that they're downloading or channeling things, and they're putting it out as absolute truth. Now, I don't know if that's possible to prove any of that. I am, as much channeling and intuitive information that I get, I'm struggling to figure out how I could actually prove it to somebody. I generally use the information just to help people kind of see things a different way, perhaps, or look at the other side of the coin. Maybe this is an alternative way of looking at how you can work on whatever. But I'm watching and hearing from people so many things, and I'm finding that people are just latching on and riding the wave of things. I mean, this whole thing with the nationwide alert text that went out on the 4th of October. Boy, I tell you what, the conspiracies or ideas or theories or information that were quoted from Spirit, on and on and on, were just so far-fetched. I mean, it was like, you're going to slowly turn into a zombie with this alert text because you had the COVID shot, or on and on and on. I mean, the stuff I heard was just incredible. I mean, I'm like, so many people were texting me, and I'm like, maybe it's simply just another test. Now, I'm sure that if the powers that be are doing a nationwide alert test like that, there's probably something underlying. I get it. However, you have to be careful who you listen to and who you trust. The real trick is to understand and get the information for yourself. There's nothing wrong with researching stuff and listening to things. I mean, I do that, but the thing is, I have I'm fortunate to have been looking at the stuff for so long. It's easy not to get caught up in it, because I used to, and it's nice to understand different views, different ideas, different things, but it doesn't matter what I believe. It's really not going to change anybody else's mind. I mean, it can, but generally, my belief system is not important to other people's. That's just the bottom line. My belief system is my belief system. It's formed through experiences in life and all these things as we talked about. But, I mean, the most recent thing that I've noticed, I didn't even pick up on it till today. I scroll through TikTok occasionally, when I've had a rough day or whatever, just kind of, get a laugh or whatever. And all of a sudden I'm seeing all these supposed true videos capturing people that are just simply disappearing. A whole bus full of kids and, people in the hospital waiting rooms and, and I'm not saying those aren't true. Don't get me wrong. I just have a hard time believing in this high technology world of today that there's not a lot of fake stuff out there. Are there some real ones? Likely. But the thing is that, of course, when you start getting into social media and it picks up on what you're looking at, eventually it starts showing you more, right? And so I was seeing video after video after video, and some of them seem pretty convincing, sure. But the point being, where is the truth, right? Where is the real truth? Have I experienced somebody disappearing in front of me or on my cameras in my own home? No. So if I choose to believe that those videos, right, then that's just simply blind belief, because I have no proof. I haven't captured any of that in my five senses, which, can lie to you as well. Don't get me wrong. But it's just, people, come on, you really got to be careful what you're listening to and what you're watching. And because if you watch it too much, or if you research it too much, if you dig in, next thing you know, you are on the solid belief side of something that you never thought of, right? For example, I'm older, right? 62, almost 63. And so I grew up with the earth and the globe in classrooms, and always been taught that there's a round earth and that there's space and we're hurtling through space at all these high speeds around the sun, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you all get that, right? But the thing is that I found myself going down a huge rabbit hole on the flat earth. And I fought it for a long time, but then I started looking at it. Next thing I know, I'm watching, researching, writing, talking, listening. Next thing I know, I'm solid. Forming a belief in the flat Earth, right? And then it went on to simulation. Are we in a simulation, like the Matrix? On and on and on. And finally, what I really started to realize is, and I noticed it, is that if I have a belief in flat Earth, that my mind will find ways to present to me everything that supports my belief system. I no longer saw, for a while, any evidence of a round Earth. Everything I saw, experienced, led me to believe and support that we are on a flat Earth. I don't know what this realm is. I really don't know anything. As a common man, I doubt I will ever be able to go up in a ship and really see, right? And even then, who knows if that would even convince me, right? I don't know. But the point being is, if you don't learn that what you consistently and persistently think will create your reality and your perception and your belief, you could really get lost in the sauce. And so I will challenge everybody. I'm not going to keep drilling on and on about it, but I would challenge everybody to really kind of sit back and really kind of, this is my suggestion. I don't tell people what to do, but realize that we really don't know anything. Because if I were to lay all my beliefs down, write them down, talk to somebody about them, I literally cannot prove to anybody what I believe. I can't. It's impossible, right? I might be able to convince somebody if I stay at it long enough, But am I really proving it? Or am I simply instilling within their own subconscious over time to create a new belief? Right? And so I'm not proving anything. And so, I mean, there's ways to prove certain things, sure. But when it comes to a belief, very far-fetched to be able to even think that you could prove it. So I read everything, research everything, understand as much as I can, but I know that there's truth somewhere, but I don't know where that is, right? I can only decide what's true for me, or what I feel is true, or what I'm going to hang my head on, right? And so, anyway, be careful out there with this new information age. It is very easy to be disinformed, because you got to realize too, people, that there are people out there that their specific job is to put out disinformation to distract us from some truth, right? Even alternative news sites are just way out there these days. You know, they used to be really solid. You know, they were actually reporting actual differences in the original mainstream story. Now I have a hard time finding any site or any place that really isn't just spinning some of the craziest things. You know, like I said, somewhere in there is the truth. I mean, just like if your child comes and tells you, you know, well, my brother hit me, or my sister hit me, or whatever, right? If you don't take the time to research the other sides of the story, you're simply having a very skewed version of the truth, because the truth for that child is one way, but if you start asking and investigating, you'll find that there's a lot more sides to that story. I learned that the hard way with soldiers, right? That you have to really gain an advantage of information and look at everything at every angle. And that helps you make a better decision, informed decision, and then you can kind of form your own belief. And somewhere in there is a truth, right? Or is there even really a truth? I don't know. You know, this may sound crazy coming from somebody that does what I do, you know, and talks about some of the things I talk about, but, you know, you got to realize, people, that even okay, I lost my thought there, but I'm back on track here. And so even I had a conversation with a client the other day, and they talked about that, where, for example, in the Bible it talks about that even the believers will be deceived. And within that conversation, we both realized that it's likely because of the times that we're in, for example, because it's very easy to be deceived now, right? You know, long ago, you didn't have all these avenues and stories and being blasted by all this crazy information, and, you know, over and over, and you can find anything and everything, and sometimes more than you need to. So, yes, we can be deceived, whether you're talking about it in religious texts or guidelines. But be careful, right? So in light of that, remember that you can also consciously and purposely change your belief system, which will, as we spoke of before, will change your reality and all the things that are presented to you. So take the time, write it out, decide what you really want, where you really want to go, what you want to be, because you can do all that if you stay consistent and not sway, right? So let's put some good things into our mind, purposeful things into our mind, into our psyche, into our belief, into our perceptions, our subconscious, all the above, and create a different reality than the world is trying to give us. Because I say the world, because I don't know another way to put it, but someone out there, some bodies, people, are trying to formulate our programming to take us down a route that they want. Let's choose it for ourselves. Let's move forward. and be all we can be, the Army slogan, right? And live life on purpose. So I shall end here. Stay strong and live your life. Until next time, Rob Mazak signing out.